this last week before we kind of get into the next week's schedule, which I am half tempted to rip apart because it doesn't make any sense to me.
He gets one high in the air. Left field. This one's got a chance. And let's go on a cowhide. Jory Ride. Sound the horn. The RailCats clear the yard.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to the RailCats Talk podcast. He's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich. I am sweating. As you know, I got moved out to the sunroom, and with the sunroom, there is no AC. We have a little portable one, but there's no airflow. So if you hear noises in the back on my end, it's probably a fan going off and the AC going off because it's 82 degrees outside and it's 9:15 at night, and it's 86 degrees in this house. So yeah, I'm hot. I'm sweating. But I didn't drive down in the middle of the day with my top off. So unlike some people that we know here, Chuck.
So I want you to see this. You see this?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my wonderful chair that I got at Bob's Discount Furniture. And I have it set to heat because I am so cold in this basement. It is ridiculous. I almost had to put a blanket on. So, I mean, I guess we're at two opposite extremes here.
Read in between the lines.
I'm
Read in
kind of
between the
kind of
lines.
chilly for some reason. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, let's talk about some. Well, first of all, let's RailCats related. Since you mentioned driving with my top down today, I had the pleasure of going to one of your two baby showers today. We had a great time. But one of the things I don't think that I say enough, probably I've never said, is how much I value our friendship. And so thank you for that. Um, it is definitely um, one of those things that I really look forward to is interacting with you and your wife. And so thank you for that.
Well, Chuck, I appreciate you and Natasha both coming. Uh, it does mean a lot. I mean, I invited some coworkers, but really, realistically, you're like the only friend that I have at the moment.
Oh,
Nothing. No. Let me rephrase that. We've become really good friends over the past year and a half ish. And you're someone that's helped me not only continue doing the podcast, but even if say today we ended it and we said, you know what, we're just done doing it, we would still be friends. Like that's just how close the bond is, and for you to come to a baby shower, which most guys don't go to and whatnot. So I'm glad that you came and you showed your support, and we were able to razz and give each other crap like we do all the time. So it's just for you guys to come out, and then Natasha knitting Logan a blanket, like that just means a lot to us because you're taking the time and effort out of your day um, for us. So hopefully someday down the road we be able to return the favor some way for you guys. We don't know, however that may transpire, but
well, if I ever need to have some baby lotion, baby oil, enough for a whole ditty party, I know that you've got that covered. I could have thought by the amounts of lotion and shampoo and baby oils that you received today that you were having quadruplets. But I mean, hey, all of a sudden that stuff's in supply since they arrested Diddy. So
yeah, it is.
that's like, oh,
And
we had a we had a great time.
Yes, it was a good time. My mom and my sister and everyone involved put a nice little shower together, and we got a lot of stuff. And it's been super hot out, and we came home. We went right to Dairy Queen afterwards because my wife was like, "I need something to cool me down," and I said, "Okay, we'll go to Dairy Queen." Like you're not gonna Dairy Queen. You say ice cream to me, and like, bam, gone there. You don't need an excuse. Just say
Right,
ice cream, and
right.
I'm there. So we're driving home, and we have all the stuff in the back of the truck, and we pull up the house, and there are 6 boxes of Chewy ordered boxes sitting there, all cat litter. So I mentally prepared myself. I said it's hot outside. I'm gonna bring all this stuff, and I was immediately defeated. Immediately,
Yeah.
like I have to bring the baby stuff in. Now I have to carry this cat litter in, and then for whatever reason, the FedEx or UPS drivers, he must have been pissed off because he's like, I carry these 6 boxes of cat litter from the driveway to the porch, and 3 of them were completely busted open. Like he just threw them on the porch and just. Whoosh. So we have cat litter everywhere, and
Lucky they didn't get dropped off at the end of the driveway.
at least it wasn't in the driveway. You're not wrong on that one. So yeah, the day turned at the end. I'm just like, it's hot out. Just let it be over. I just want to carry this stuff in. Just like the day being over, the RailCats wanted this week to be over because guess how many games they won, Chuck?
Ooh, this week I'm going with 1.
Yeah, one would be right. Yeah, that was the game 2 of the doubleheader that was supposed to be the second game of doubleheader, but ended up being the first game of doubleheader because of rain.
Yes, and there was a play in that game that made me not enjoy much of my trip to Kane County. That was the one that I went to, was the Kane County game, the doubleheader day on Thursday. One of the pitchers that played for the Dockhounds that I would razz back and forth, Shelby Lackey, pitching against the RailCats, and takes one off the head. And it shot up about 50 feet in the air, and he just hit the ground. And it's not a. I go through life feeling like there's like people are good, and they have to kind of go out of their way to be buttholes. Um, and uh, he's laying on the ground, and there's this jack monkey, and I use that term in the worst. 2 rows behind me, saying to his kids, I believe, he's dead. That guy's dead. And just kept saying it, even though he was, then sitting up, he just kept saying it. And that just, I don't know, that just kind of ruined the game for me.
Yeah.
Seeing that he first of all, seeing he got hurt, and then piled on the fact that this guy is just, and just running his mouth over nonsense. And really, the best move there would have been to just shut his mouth. But from what I've heard, Shelby stayed the night at the hospital, and that he was doing better. Did reach out to him on Twitter. He hasn't responded. I don't know that he will. But hey, uh, thoughts and prayers with him, and that. I just hope he's doing all right. I know he's on the inactive list now, so I just hope he's doing all right. So getting that out of the way. RailCats give up 1 the first game, dominate the second game, give up 1 the third game. I mean, not really much that was close. And then go into Chicago and just let them sweep you. Hey,
Well, the benefit to the Chicago one, at least if you didn't go to the game, you didn't have to see it. So,
that's another thing.
well,
Yeah, I put this online somewhere. I can't remember where. I asked this question. They had the I think the RailCats were there. No, I was watching Lincoln against
mhm.
Chicago, and they had audio only. And I'm like, and then I couldn't even watch the one that I wanted to watch. And so, and I responded to AA. They said, oh, they had been struck by lightning. All their equipment was ruined. Blah blah blah. They're waiting to have it replaced. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll bite on that one. But here we are. How many games into the season? And I'm sorry, but if you can't shell out the money to replace your video equipment, you probably shouldn't be owning a team.
Well, Okay,
This is your product.
okay, I get that. I get that argument, and I think it's a little bit different because it comes from Chicago, and Chicago's a big market in general, to where they should be making enough money to be able to replace some kind of equipment. Like it may not be like the best equipment, but it might be the bare bones situation. I'm just saying you put that in a situation for like a Gary or maybe like a Sioux City where the market's not as big, where you're not like driving a lot of revenue necessarily. Like the streaming equipment is expensive, depending on what they want to do with it. Obviously, I mean, like I said, they've been backed up by the Illinois Media School, the school that I used to go to. Um, they have interns and class people go and do that kind of stuff. So they have a lot of cameras, they have a lot of things. So it just depends on how much they fried and do they want to risk ruining their quote unquote reputation by like video quality by putting something out bare bones or just making it audio. In the case for you and I would rather it be bare bones and be able to see what's going on in the game. That's what's going to drive people ultimately to your product and follow the game. Because say now they only get to watch it when they go on the road. Like you're going to try to force people to go to the games. It's not always going to happen. If I can't make it to the game, I would like to be able to watch the game. I get it, but it's not. And if this was a major league organization or they were an affiliate ball, then it'd be like, okay, this is a different story. But sometimes you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it's just Chicago. That's what makes it worse.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thinking. If you're going to, if you know that this is a key part of your business, video production, right? Showing the games. It doesn't matter if you have the equipment today or you have it next year, right? The time frame of when you get the equipment is irrelevant. You're going to have to get the equipment. So whether you're waiting for an insurance claim or this or that or whatever it is, uh, dude, shell out the money and get the equipment that you should have, put your product back out there, and then chase after the money from the insurance company or whatever it is. Don't sit there and wait on it and pinch pennies or whatever. I kind of, with Chicago, I kind of have this feeling that they're like, you know what? Our video equipment isn't working. This is a good excuse for us to not have video guys, and we can save a bunch of money. That's kind of the way I see the attitude with Chicago. Instead of it should be, hey, we want to put on a good product and we need to pay some money to get that done, and they get it done.
Well,
Gary would replace the camera or whatever it is and make it happen.
well, like I said, I don't know how much money they're dumping into necessarily the video side of it because, like I said, I think they have a lot of students that do those games. I don't know if they're still linked up with OWs. Like I said, it's been almost 5 years since I've worked or went to school. Went to school there, so I don't know exactly what the whole fulfillment on that portion of it is. But I mean, it's about a month out. Like, yeah, it's been a month. Like you're telling me that you couldn't set up a webcam and a computer and have OBS Studios on it and throw it up and call it a day. Like this far out, yeah, it's time to kind of do something different there. Like I get if like you can only do one stream, do the one stream. Like the away team gets screwed. That happens all the time. It is what it is. Nonetheless, we're not turning this into a Chicago Dogs rant of it always seems like it sucks knowing like I said, I was talking to you earlier today and I talked to other people and it's just like I don't have a lot of time in my day in my week right now because my mind is so somewhere else that's not involved with baseball. So when I do get a day to sit down and say, all right, I got my scorebook ready, I'm gonna cook dinner, I'm gonna get ready to watch this game, and it's audio only. I'm like, well, I have the Stanley Cup Finals going on. When am I gonna pop an earphone in and I'm gonna half listen to the game and while I'm watching another game going on? Like, my full attention's not gonna be there. So it's just like, and it may be bad on my part. Be like, well, Kyle, you run a podcast that covers the RailCats. I'm like, well, yeah, but when the team is 10 and 29. Yeah. 12 games out of first place, 6 games back from 5th place, which then would be 4th place because it's tied there, the worst team in the league. Yeah, I told my wife, I said, I'm not even going to worry about it. Like, that's just where we're at. And it's sad to say, but this is where we're at.
Yeah. And I think that, I've kind of held out hope a lot with this team. Had a lot of thoughts of, we're just an inch away, we're so close. We turn it on, we turn it off. You know, I see that Noriega on the injured list. He was really, I mean, key to a lot of those big innings. Um, I don't know. I don't know, man. Something's just not right, and I can't put my finger on it. That we should definitely be having a better record than we have. We're losing a lot of close games, and the problem that I see now in this past week is it seems like, yeah, we've lost a lot of close games, but now the risk is that the players just throw their hands up and they're just like, hey, we're not going to win. And now you're starting to see that spread of, instead of being 1 run games, 4 or 5 run games, 6 run games, guys not hitting. And I don't think that it's intentional. I think it's one of those psychological things. But, you get a guy like Contreras, he goes to Joliet and he's killing it. Good job for him. Uh,
Yeah,
I told Pat that Pat went to the game and actually got the Contreras jersey and that. And I said, I hope you told him that we miss him. And he says, yeah, he misses Gary too. But hey, this is, I guess this is one of those things that you kind of learn to kind of accept later in life. It's great to have a guy like Contreras. He's a great guy. Um, but sometimes having Contreras or having a guy like him isn't worth him not succeeding.
hmm
So you kind of just, hey, he goes somewhere else and he winds up being successful, and that's better for him, you
yeah.
know. And so great on that. Makes you feel better. There's been other guys that have been let go or released, and you haven't seen them picked up, and it's like, you know, I I wish they found a better place or another place where they could better succeed. You know,
Yeah, Jose Contreras. It's that meme where the guy's mining, right, for diamonds, and he gets so close and he turns around and he's like just a couple swings away from hitting the diamonds. It's like the thing with Jose Contreras is like we were waiting for him to get hot because that's what he typically does. Now, granted, the numbers are impressive with Julian. I mean, he has 6 games played, 13 hits, 6 runs, 2 doubles, two home runs, 12 RBIs, a walk, 5 Ks, 3 stolen bases with a 500 batting average.
right?
Versus his 14 games where he had 8 hits, 8 runs, 1 double, 1 home run, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 21 strikeouts, and 3 stolen bases with a batting average of .8. But you also look, Juliet, I think, is towards the top of the Frontier League. I
I don't know what
I
that
don't know
is.
enough
I think
about.
I think so. I think so.
I'm just saying when you're playing on a good team and you could bury someone in a lineup and he's known for being hot, I would be interested to see what his numbers are going to be later in. But I'm not taking anything away from Jose Contreras. I mean, what obviously we enjoyed watching him play here uh, at the time that he was here, and it might just be better for him to move on and maybe he just finds a different spark. And I don't know with the competition levels, maybe just a tad bit different, or he's on a hot streak. He's at a new team, he wants to prove himself, and he's there. I wish he bats 500 the rest of the time that he's there. I
Yeah,
wish that he still succeeds. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying when I say I don't want him falling off. I want him to be successful.
yeah.
But then so on and so forth. Whatever he helps Juliet do whatever they need to do over there. He just didn't work out for the Railcats, and it was the peaks were too high, or the peaks were high, but the valleys were too low for him. And I think right now we're at the point it's got to be overturn time. I'm sorry. It's just you give a guy a handful of games, and if he's not cutting it, you got to let him go. You got to find someone else. Like you got you
Yeah.
got the draft coming up for MLB. You have the baseball World Series, College World Series wrapped up. LSU won. Like there's going to be players that are coming out. Like maybe it's just trying to load these players in. I just don't know what the situation is. We're to the point where it's like crumble up a paper, throw it up in the air, and say, "All right, the season's kind of where we're at now." Like,
Well, and I hope that that's not how the players are feeling, because it is it's I don't know. I think when you start losing so much, it starts to become one of those things where you stop enjoying the game and you stop enjoying playing, and then it just spirals down. So hey, they're putting in the time and effort.
no,
They're they're
I
trying
think
hard. I hope that they don't. I hope that that doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
I think what I'm getting at is I hope that the players that we have are able to turn around. Like, but we're to the point to where you said, well, we have to. The beginning of the year was the pitching staff's really successful. Like, we need to build upon that, right? But now we haven't built upon anything. We're going backwards. Now we're in. Oh, we don't want to overturn too much because the players. I don't want the players feeling bad. We're just we're
No,
to we're to the point to where, like, I think it would be a disservice if I'm just using him for example. If Joe Swazi falls off the face of the earth, right, and he just plummets, I would rather I would rather than trade him somewhere and then bring someone else in so that way he can go enjoy baseball again, because you're just going to get to the point to where people may not be enjoying baseball anymore, and players not getting paid a lot of money. So you can't just sit there and an MLB guy making $12 million a year, but like, yeah, that team sucks. I play my baseball. I'm getting paid $12 million a year. Like, you can swallow that. These players are trying to prove something, and I think it might be a Jose Contreras situation. The team's not successful. Move him somewhere else. I understand that we released him, but he has an opportunity to go play somewhere else, and he's probably winning baseball games, and he's a lot happier. And I guess that's where I'm getting at. I feel bad for like a Chris Irwin who has pitched his entire pro career with the RailCats, and he hasn't had a taste of what winning is like.
right.
And it's just one of those situations. I don't want the negativity eat the players away where they just don't enjoy the game anymore. So I'd rather see the turnover in that aspect of it, to say, hey, we're moving these guys on because we want them to have a taste, and maybe we'll just start bringing in younger guys. Like, we're to the point to where it's like, Lamar, we've thrown you life vests. You've had a rope as long as I don't know, 9 mile stretch in Crown Point. Like, you've had a long time to turn things around. You just haven't done it. So at this point, you're doing players a disservice by just holding them here.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Um, I just, yeah, it sucks. It I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's just right there anymore.
No,
Especially when you rattle off 10 and 20 what?
10 and 29.
So we're 40 games in, 39 games in, almost half the season, and you're almost half the season and you don't even have half the wins that you had last year. We need to go five of the next 10 to be on the same pace as last year. The last year was an awful season, you know.
Yeah.
How I mean, that's hard to quantify, or I don't know. That's just rough.
I
So
I the word disappointing has been thrown around. I think I'm just in disbelief. I think I'm honestly in just disbelief that the way we were in games and it just all falling apart around us. It's just that I'm in disbelief. I think we're just to that point where I'm like, it couldn't get any worse than last year because the games were so out of hand. This year was just like, oh, we were talking last week, like, you win a handful of those one-run games and we're 500. Now
right,
it's, we win a really big game and then we just get blown out.
right.
Like, it's just all going backwards, and
Now here's an interesting thing that's coming up. The RailCats face Kane County for 3 games, 4 games, I believe, something to that effect, right? And then they go to Kansas City, and Kansas City starts a run of like 12 games in a row where we face the opposing league.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Chicago faces next 13 games, I believe. I think they have 3 games with like Sioux Falls or something like that. And then they have like 13 games in a row where they face in the division. And so does I believe Kane County is like kind of the same way. So these guys, these other teams are going to be battling each other, and we're going to be going for those wins that are going to be against teams that are in the other division. So hopefully, uh, these guys, slay each other and we wind up bumping up. We're what, 6 games out, something like that, 6, 7 games out of playoff contention. It's not the end of the world, but trying to be positive,
Chuck,
man, not seeing it.
I'm sorry. The negative Nelly's gonna come out on me because I'm looking at the stats right now, and we were towards the middle of the pack in average with batting average. We are now dead last again at 228. If you look at point streak, they kind of have a weird thing it's messed up. It has Lincoln and Lake Country at the bottom. I don't know where those got mixed up, but Lincoln's normal average is at 241, and we're sitting at 228. Our ERA was towards the top. We're dead last in ERA again. Like it's just it's the bottom's falling out, and I don't know what the solution is. It's the disbelief. It's it's
Well,
really hard. It's hard. It's disappointing because when you got the group chat going on with the rest of the Rowdy Cowbell crew, and it's just like they're talking about the curse of the Railcats. You have Jose Contreras goes to Juliet. He's doing successful. I don't know how Brian's doing. Um, where'd he go? One of the Canadian teams in the Frontier League. But it's like other players go on and they have success, and we just seem to go nowhere. I don't necessarily want to call it a Railcats curse, but I don't think it necessarily is one. I just don't think it's the disbelief right now. I don't have a solution. I don't have an answer. I'm not disappointed. I'm just in shock.
here's something that bothers me. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the month, June 1st. Okay. June 1st, we released Eric Meza.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's put one there. Okay. Um, June 4th, no. June 5th, no. June 6th, no. June 7th, no. June 8th, we got Jake Gunther, and we placed Pinto on the injured list. I'm not going to count Pinto on the injured list.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's move number 2. Okay, picking up Jake Gunther. Nothing on the 9th. On the 10th, we released Jose Contreras, and we released Donovan Williams. I'm going to give that a 4. We picked up DeMarcus Evans and Ernie Ordonez, so that was four transactions so far, right? Nothing on the 11th, nothing on the 12th. 13th, we activated Pinto, placed Chris Irwin on the injured list. And then right after that, we released Pinto. I'm going to give that a number 5 for another transaction, right? Nothing on the 15th, nothing on the 16th, nothing on the 17th, nothing 18th, nothing on the 19th. 20th, we activated Chris Irwin because we had to have him on the list for 10 days or 7 days, whatever it was. Nothing on the 21st. 22nd, we wind up putting somebody on the injured list, and we signed somebody to make up for that because we needed another catcher. Not going to count that one. So June 22nd. So the month of June, we've made 5 transactions. I can almost guarantee without going through this whole list, every other team has done more transactions than that.
Well, it in total, we did 7. Because
Yeah,
if you release
picked up 2.
Yeah,
That
because right now we're -1 with the release of Pinto. I
yeah,
know that we're in a -1 situation right now. So like we've subtracted someone and we haven't replaced that person yet,
right, right.
which is to me mind-boggling.
Well, but but here's
None,
my go ahead.
nonetheless, we're the worst team in the league. It is the 22nd of June, and we've made a total of quote unquote 7 actual transactions that aren't injured reserve moves.
Right.
What are we doing? Like that's the point where that's
I'm
the
gonna I'm gonna
frustration.
go by this. I'm gonna go by this. Who's number one in the league right now? Chicago.
I think it's Kansas City.
Well, let's in our division, Chicago.
Sure.
They should be. I looked yesterday. I think they were number one. They won today. So
Yes.
play Chicago. Okay. June 1st, Chicago released a pitcher. Okay. They activated an outfielder. Not going to count that. They placed somebody else on the injured list. Not going to count that. Okay. Nothing. 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 Chicago transferred a contract to Mexico.
Well, I'll count that one because you're releasing something. It's
Okay, two, signed a right-handed pitcher. That's three. Signed a left-handed pitcher. That's four. Um, signed a right-handed pitcher. That's five. Uh, I'm only on the 14th and I'm already at five. They signed a catcher. That's six. They released an infielder. That's seven. They've yeah, seven. Released a catcher. That's eight. Um, they released a right-handed pitcher. That's nine. Uh, and I'm on the 20th. Nine legitimate moves there.
yeah.
Now, but here's the thing though. This is what I'm talking about, Kyle. Chicago, who's in first place, who has a team that is winning, right? They've got the pieces there, and they are still making 9 transactions, right? So they're not sitting there saying, all right, guys, we've got the cards to play. Let's sit idle. They're not doing that. They're saying, what's out there? Let's see what we can get. Let's move some pieces around. Let's get better. Right? They're not saying let's stay the same. And I can do the same thing. Number two, I think was Cleburne. We can go through Cleburne and do the same thing. I've got probably 20 transactions from Cleburne on here.
Chuck, the moral of your story here is that we have done nothing but idle. We have done nothing but kick our feet up and let the season ride. Why other teams have made improvement. If you were to tell me at this mark, right, that just say if the RailCats made 4 transactions, right? We'll just say 4 transactions in general at this point, because I mean that's what it felt like. We made like 4 transactions the entire year. I know we've made more, but it's what it feels like. If you're telling me it just a blind eye, like, hey, who do you think has more transactions, right? Chicago, who's towards the top of the league, or the RailCats, who's bottom third of the league? I'm like, you know what? It's probably the RailCats because they're towards the bottom of the league. They're trying to kick things around and try to get going. And you tell me Chicago has more transactions and the RailCats do not? What are we doing? Like that's my point. Is what even if we decided, you know what? If you were to say, hey, it's not working out. This I'm not saying the season is quote unquote over because you could turn things around, but I know we don't want to use the necessary like use Black Sox players all the time, or but giving people an opportunity to play baseball, you know, maybe it's trying to pluck someone from the Frontier League, pluck someone from the Atlantic League. But I think it's one of those like, I get plucked from, you know, I'm Lamar. I reach out to the player in the Atlantic League. It's like, hey, I know you got released. You want to come over to Gary and play? And he's gonna be like, let me look at your record. No, I would rather not because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hate playing because we're gonna lose. And it's not like we're losing by a run or two. It's I take that back. I would rather get blown out than run by lose by a run or two because you're sitting there, you're mentally thinking, man, if I would have done this different or I would have done that different or that guy would have done something different, it's like I think that eats away at you more than losing 10-1. We're like, well, we're gonna go ballpark. We know we're gonna get a butts kick, but let's just try to have some fun with it. losing by a run, we'll just take a case of last week against Sioux Falls, where you're winning the game and you go to close the game out and you end up losing the game. Like, that's something that's going to eat at you. And it's going
Right.
to eat at you and eat. And baseball, what you could say is 90% mental.
Yeah.
And when it falters like that, that's when things can go sideways. And we're starting to see it go sideways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're right. My point is that a team like Gary that's at the bottom of the order should be making more transactions. And I question why we don't, right? Why is it that we give guys such a long rope before we make a decision or before we make a change? And I understand wanting to give a guy a chance, but there should be that balance of I want to give a guy a chance, but I have a winning record, you know. I have to win. Winning is the important thing, and by winning, I give people more of a chance. And I don't feel like we're there. I think that we're the giving people a chance situation, but we're not taking into account that we should be a winning team before we do that. I
Yeah,
mean, Paul's just got rid of Hunter Clan, and I hope he's not hurt. He's a heck of a player, a heck of an outfielder. Uh, a guy like that is, if he's not hurt, he's on the market. We had a second baseman that was released by Lincoln. He got picked up by Fargo, I believe. That guy was really good. Eh, there's guys out there, there's players out there that would make improvements for us, and I feel as though for some reason we're not in the market for players.
yeah. No, and what's really hurting right now is I know he had his 30 games on base. Like, his on base percentage is super high with Jarius Richards, but like, he's right now in the month of June, he's batting a 175. Like, that's not helping. Like, I
Right.
get the on base percentage, like, it helps, but like a situation like a Olivier Basabe, where he's now he this month he's batting at 320 and he has an on base percentage of 393. Like, that's a guy where if you would have told me, like, looking at his May statistics, where what was batting a 194 and he's turned around in June, like, that's a guy where they go, okay, we know what he can do. We'll give him
Right.
his time. He's being productive. We'll give him his time. And I'm not saying anything about Richards. I think he's a player that you don't like. His batting average is down. That's not a player you get rid of. The one that we were kind of like on the cusp about was Allgaier, and I think he would have been gone if Hoover was back. But he's starting to turn things around. So it's like,
Yeah.
there's some guys that you have, like, all right, maybe, but when things are starting to go backwards, like, you take an LG Castillo for example, he's batting a 203 in May. He's now batting a 275 or 270 in the month of June. Like, that's a guy that can be productive. It's just like, if those pieces in May were successful in May, and we can transfer that into June, where we were, with the top players that we have, this would be a different team. But like, it's the inconsistency. It's people get hot and then people stay cold, and there's no like happy medium. It's so polar opposite of each other that you can't get anything productive going, and that's where we're at.
And didn't we have the same conversation last year? That was the key word last year to this year was consistency, right? And we're seeing that it's still not there. You know, that's it's frustrating. Um, I think that some players that I really like probably need to go, um, and need to go because they will be more productive somewhere else. Um, and we need to really be trying to find those guys that are going to make a huge difference. We had uh JR, come in and really just light things on fire. And yes, he's cooled down, but you need to ask yourself, why do you think he's cooled down? A lot of these guys have cooled down because the team is cold. And, you know, if you if a pitcher has all this, faith in the world that he can make the pitches, all of a sudden he starts pitching out of his mind and everybody's getting out, and yet he can go face some other team and wind up getting pounded like crazy. And why does he feel that way about Gary? Because Gary's not hitting. We shouldn't have a 220 team batting average. That's unacceptable to me. Especially when you've got other teams where they've got 4 or 5 guys still batting over 300.
Do you have anything from this last week before we kind of get into the next week's schedule, which I am half tempted to rip apart because it doesn't make any sense to me?
You know what? Guys just have to keep work. They just got to keep going out there and doing their job. You know. Um, uh, and it goes a little bit. Guys shouldn't be making errors. They shouldn't be missing pop flies. They shouldn't be. Uh, you know, there's a lot of crappy play out in the field. The guys shouldn't be doing that stuff. And it kind of makes you wonder why they're doing it. Lack of focus. What is it? Distracted? Who knows? But it'd be really good to see us go some games without some errors.
I agree. So this is the point of the schedule where we're getting to where it makes no sense. All right, let's have a little consistency in the league, right?
Yeah.
Where you have a homestand, 6-game homestand, in and out. So we play Kane County again at home.
Right.
That's a Tuesday 6:45 game. A Wednesday a 12 o'clock game. A Thursday 6:45 game, and then we play Kansas City for 4 games. Where do you think those games should be played at, Chuck?
Well, one would say that those games should be played at home.
Oh yeah, but you're wrong, Chuck.
I know.
So the 4 games are down in Kansas City.
Right.
Here's the part that kills me:
Huh.
is if you're gonna have a 12 o'clock game and you're gonna do a home and away series during that week. When do you make that 12 o'clock game? I don't know. Maybe
Thursday?
Thursday.
Right.
Because I understand like you do it on the road in general. Like, you can go from Sioux Falls or Kansas City, or the case may be. I understand that portion of it. But why see now the RailCats are losing. I know they make it back up, but they're essentially losing a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, where that's I don't know. We're in a league that's gate driven, right?
Right.
So you wanna screw a team out of a gate commission on their most prime time of the year because for whatever reason you want to give Kansas City 4 games. I don't get it. I honestly, this is the part I just make it all the way through homestand. Homestand be 6 games or 7 games, however you want to roll around, and make your away. I don't understand what the difficulty about that is.
Right.
I don't know what's in the schedule making that that does it anyways, but this. Oh, and then we play. I forgot we play a home and home against Kansas City. We play
Right.
the 4 games against Kansas City, and then they come to us. So we're playing Kansas City 7 games in a row.
Yep.
What are
Oh,
we,
it's on plus.
what are we doing?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Oh yeah, I know we'll get into it, but they're doing it to them again. So they lose out to Kansas City, right? They play Kansas City at home again, and then they go to Sioux City. They lose out another Friday, Saturday. They're I shouldn't have went down that far.
Yeah.
That irks me. That really irks me to my soul because you were screwing out a team of 2 weekends. You're gonna give them Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, where you can quote unquote call those the low end times that people go to the games, and you're gonna screw them twice out of that.
Right.
Once, shame on me, I guess, but twice, shame on you. Like,
Well, so you're not necessarily screwing them out because it should be one out of those 2 weekends we should have at home and the other weekend we should be away. But both of those weekends were away.
yeah,
So you
that's what I'm saying.
would hope that the following 2 weeks you would be at home both times. You'd have three in a row where you're home on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But consistency. You don't have consistency in the league. You don't have consistency in the schedule. You definitely don't have consistency on the team. Uh, blow it up, man. Blow it up.
Chuck, you got a final out for the day?
Oh, my final thought is this.
Final out, not thought. I got
My
coined.
final out of the
Final
game.
out.
Final out of the game. I love going to the games. For me, going to the games is a big stress relief, even though it's outrageously stressful to see poor umpiring and losing games. But it's a huge stress release for me. I have severe anxiety and I have OCD, and my mind runs 10,000 miles a minute every day, all the time. And the only time that I can actually spend some time and focus and get those thoughts clear is when I'm watching a baseball game, where I can pinpoint laser this and that, and love it. Love going to the steel yard. Love enjoying the game of baseball as a whole. But that being said, um, this is wearing on me, uh, because there's only so much you can do, um, and keep repeating yourself and keep coming up with the same questions but no answers, you know? Um, and I really feel like, hey, I try not to. I don't think I might have missed one game this year, 2 games this year. Um, I might be missing some more. Uh, I mean, it. I don't know. I have to decide where I want to put my money, and I don't know that I want to put my money in a league that has uh, bad umpiring. I don't know if I want to put my money in a league that has um, teams that don't want to go out there and put their video feed online so that people can watch their teams play. I don't know that I want to be putting my money in a place where we consistently just, hey, this is the team, and we sit idle. So I say that I will continue to put my money there, and I will be hopeful, right? But the thought has crossed my mind a few times. So if you're going to a game and you want to go just for the fact that it's a game, you can enjoy yourself, absolutely. Um, but if you're going to a game to fall in love with the team and want to do everything with that team, you might have to wait.
I will piggyback off of that, and I think one of the things that drawn me to like really enjoying the league and not being my selfish reason because I wanted to pursue a career in sports broadcasting and whatnot, but knowing that if a team had a bad year, they could flip it around and they could win it. Like what we saw in 04 and 05. But when it's been the same thing for the past 4 seasons now, and it's not gotten any better, that's when it starts to wear and tear on. I just put it in prime example. Like, yeah, when I first started covering and doing stuff, every time the RailCats were playing, I would get, and I was closing or I wasn't able to watch. Like, I would get that little, not like worried anxiety, but like the happy anxiety where you're kind of like, oh, what's going on in the game? I get an alert, like, oh, what's going on? I've lost that. I've
Yeah.
lost the drive of getting on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, seeing what transactions are going on, and try to beat the team to putting out who that I've lost it. And I know that probably people that have followed the podcast and some are probably like, yeah, he hasn't put in a lot of the work that he's used to putting in. One, I've basically lost 10 hours a week, with my new job shift. That kind of helps a little bit with that, like, out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. But, like, the team isn't successful. And the Kane County game, doubleheader, my wife's uncle was at the game. And he was texting us, and he's like, "Oh, I'm watching the RailCats beat the crap out of the Cougars," and I was like, "Yeah, watch them blow it up and them not be successful." And then game 2 rolls around, and he's like, "Yeah, this team kind of sucks." I'm like,
I do want to pitch something out here that I do have a suggestion. I think I made this suggestion in previous podcasts. I want to make it again. It should be mandatory if you work for the RailCats that you go to other teams' games and you assess what they do and how they put their presentation together. Assess, take some good things, bad things, whatever, write them down, turn them into your manager, come up with, hey, this is what I liked, this is what I didn't like, this is kind of something I'd like to try, and really look at ways of improving the product from a presentation / production standpoint. I'll tell you what, that doubleheader, we had a blast.
yeah,
We really did. The presentation in between innings was flawless. We have to hope for the best. We really do. I mean, hey, this is fun. This is fun doing this. It's not fun beating up on a team that is defeated.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. But with that being said, we're going to defeat this podcast. And he's Chuck Polarek. I'm Kyle Svetich. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening. Watching this, and go Cats.
Go Cats.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Wrap this one up in green and white.